Technology Roadmap Storytelling by Chopo Gomez-Suevish. A technology roadmap will help you tell the story about the technologies that are necessary to develop new products. If you are persuasive in your storytelling, you will secure the resources to develop the necessary technologies. This is the technology roadmap for Coca-Cola. It is fictional because I did not research the facts with any precision. On the top, we have a timeline, starting from the long ago and ending in the vision of the future. Below, we have the market, where the products are sold and the technologies are in the bottom. Later in this presentation, we will consider a few other layers, such as drivers and resources, which are not shown here. Let's start with the Coca-Cola returnable that has the famous bottle. It starts long ago and it fades away in the present. That fading away is the meaning of the red tail. Then see the Coca-Cola recyclable can, the Coca-Cola recyclable bottle. Both the can and the bottle almost replace the returnable glass bottle, and we can imagine there will be a different Coke of the future. The product was not just the Coca-Cola secret recipe, but the famous bottle with a strong competitive advantage based on its patented bottle. The product layer also has the pressurized can and the 2-liter Zeppelin, and we can imagine a better container will come next. Below in the bottom layer, we have technology. Someone must have researched the strong glass bottle. Then someone must have researched and developed the recyclable aluminum, making the material thinner, stronger, and more durable. Then DuPont invented the polyethylene terephthalate, or PET, which is what we use for recyclable bottles. The dotted lines show the routes starting in a technology, going to a product, and ending in a market. This is a simplified technology roadmap. We will build on this. The technology roadmap serves different purposes. If you're at the top and you're the chairman, the CEO, or the CFO, you want to increase the long-term value of your company. If you're at the top, you need to direct the investment and the resources. You also need to carefully tell the story to the investors. A strong technology strategy could improve the value of the stock of your company. If you're in the middle, and you manage, lead, direct, or command, you want to know what projects to propose to the people above you, and you want to establish how soon to start those projects. The technology roadmap helps your negotiation story with the top leaders and your instruction story with the teams. If you are forming your team, you want to know what kind of talent you should hire. You will know what skills will be more relevant to develop those technologies. If you're a contributor or a team member, you want to figure out what are your deliverables and what you should prioritize. And if you're being hired into a company, you want to know why you should work there. Warning, this is top secret. You cannot give the story away because it is your competitive advantage. As much as different people in the organization need to know the technology story, there is a fine line because the technology roadmap should remain secret. Like all secrets, it should be shared only on a need-to-know basis. This roadmap example is a variation on the layers. The new layer is the function layer in the middle. The value of adding this function layer is to focus on what the technology does to the function, and what the function does to the product, and how the product evolves into another product. The beauty of this roadmap is that it identifies everything. It shows everything that is needed to commercialize the membrane on the top right. Everything on this chart is necessary. You can add a function layer in your roadmap. That's up to you. This is getting interesting because you can add many other layers for legitimate reasons. Let's start from the bottom here. You need resources to advance science. Think about universities and professors as resources. Think about R&D in every company as resources. You need science to advance technology. For instance, you need to understand the theory of electronics to then make electronic circuits. In this case, we need not only a service, but also a system. Service could be sales, installation, user support, and maintenance. All of that gets in the hands of the consumer in a product. The product enables a business. Presumably, a business is satisfying what the market wants. If you're doing a technology roadmap, you surely need a technology layer connected to a product layer. Somehow you need to show resources because that drives the investment decision and the timing of the investment. Everything else is optional. In my opinion, resources, technology, and product are the only necessary layers to make a technology roadmap. All other layers are up to you. Only add what helps you tell your story. Now let's go in the other direction. What we have here is not a technology roadmap because it has no technology on it. Call it a product roadmap if you want. So we simplified, but we simplified too much. We made this pretty but useless. Now this got too complicated. The complications here are 1, the number of elements on the diagram, and 2, the thickness of the connecting lines indicates the strength of the relationship among the elements. The story is nearly unreadable. The people who created this chart had their reasons, but creating a technology roadmap is a process that must tell a story. If you cannot tell a story because you put too much stuff on the chart, you probably went too far. This is an old roadmap. The point is that it has routes. The routes are connections between origins and destinations. You can see the route from London to Dover, and you can see the route from Calais to Paris. Showing routes in a roadmap is essential. Now, these are strategic routes. The dotted lines SR1, SR2, SR3, and SR4 show the strategic routes. Painting the routes is important. In this roadmap, the dotted lines are the strategic routes that connect resources to technology, to products, to client needs. On a technology roadmap, show the strategic routes. Show not only the routes that were taken in the past, but also show the routes you want to take in the future. So, when producing your technology roadmap with your team, discuss the strategic routes. The roadmap is the background of the story. The routes tell the story. I am showing you this because of the top layer, trends and drivers, which is a common and useful addition to a technology roadmap. These trends and drivers happen outside the control of the company. The trends and drivers shown here are social, technological, economic, environmental, and political. You can choose others. Your company is not likely going to control any of these, but understanding them is essential if you want to propose a viable strategy. What you can do is lobbying in government or participating in the committees that are shaping some of these drivers. These trends and drivers affect the products that your company can sell. I recommend having trends and drivers on your roadmap because they will help you tell your story. Developing technologies takes a lot of time, decades sometimes. Let's go back to Coke and the big plastic bottle. We tend to forget how long it takes to develop a technology. The technology used for the Coke plastic bottles is called PET or PET or polyethylene terephthalate. The first patent was granted in 1941, and the first commercial bottle was made in 1973. 3 decades had to pass before that technology was ready to make bottles. When I looked it up, I couldn't believe it myself. Nobody will believe you unless you have the facts. Your story must be clear about how long it really takes to develop a relevant technology. Only with a strong understanding of the past you can predict the future and defend your budgets and your plans. Technology Readiness Level or TRL. Technology starts from basic technology research. At universities, technology feasibility is proven. Then in research centers, technology is developed and demonstrated. Then the companies that develop products fit the technologies in their subsystems and systems. Finally, in the field with the users, technology reaches full maturity once it is tested in a system, launched, and in full operation. Getting a technology ready takes time. The process often takes decades. The point is this: understanding how much time it took to mature the last technology is essential to forecast how much time it will take to mature the next technology. By breaking down the technology readiness into distinct maturity levels, we will have a better chance of forecasting correctly the future technologies. A technology roadmap will help you make defensible plans. I cannot stress this enough. Leaders want technologies developed fast. An objective set for a decade away makes no sense to a business leader using net present value. Highly paid leaders want new technologies so fast that the planning becomes unrealistic. The technology roadmap should clearly reflect how long the past technologies took to mature. If technology A took 14 years and its derivative technology B took 16 years, Why are we going to promise to develop the next technology D in less than 2 years? That promise would be unrealistic. Only by presenting the history with the correct facts we can defend the future. Don't just show one technology, show several technologies. Show all the relevant technologies. Make your story bulletproof. So, we have 2 parts to make the story defensible. First, present the story with enough detail to use it to extrapolate the future. And second, express your plan and progress in terms of technology readiness level that will bring out the true story behind each technology. You need both the historical detail and the TRLs to compare the past to the future. You need both to present a defensible and credible story. We're getting close to the end here. Here's my recommendation. A technology roadmap needs a timeline that starts long ago when relevant technology started. Then the timeline will have recent history with lots of detail for the recent past because we have lots of data and good memory. The timeline will need not only enough midterm future to see our technologies mature, but enough future to see our technologies reach our vision with our new products. As we saw, different authors have their choice of layers. I recommend the following layers. Start with a layer for resources, because some resources were necessary to develop every technology. Your job is to figure out which resources you need to develop your technologies. That's the whole point. You need to fund those resources. So begin with the end in mind. You are creating this technology roadmap to ask for funding for your resources. If you don't make this ultimate connection to resources, your story will be at best entertaining, but not useful. The second layer is technologies. In this layer, you must show technology readiness level to have a defensible forecast. We just covered this. The third layer is called products. Don't forget that most products are developed in families of products. Often a technology is incorporated into a family of products and not just a single product. These are called platforms. In this layer, show the duration of the new product development and show the life of the product while it remains in the market. This way, you can see that a product being sold today was launched years ago, and you can see that its development started even earlier. I did not cover platforms here. That's a topic for another day. A fourth layer has customers. Remember that not all customers are created equal. Show customer segments because at any given point in time, you will have customers from one segment needing something different than the other segment. Multiple segments exist in a market at the same time and in the same place. Show as much complexity as you need to tell your story. Show the segments for the long ago and of yesterday. Show how the segments evolved. I did not cover customer segments here, which is also a topic for another day. To predict what the customers of the future want, you will need to develop a layer showing the external trends and drivers. You need these external trends and drivers to explain the needs of the customers of the future. We did talk about this. Finally, you must tell a story in the form of routes. Connect resources to technologies, technologies to products, products to customers, and explain what the customer wants with external trends and drivers. Remember earlier we called these routes. Without routes, you don't have a story. To produce a technology roadmap, you will bring together people from groups that are normally separated. Each one of those groups brings different perspectives and tools. All these people from different roles will see the routes of the past, and then they will connect the routes of the future. In the end, you need all those people to endorse the technology roadmap and mobilize the resources. The point is that the technology roadmaps will bring together people to share the story and own it collectively. This was technology roadmap storytelling. In conclusion, you must tell a good story. 1. Choose your layers wisely. You need at least resources, technology, and product. The rest is optional. 2. Involve all the relevant functions in your company in the production of the roadmap. 3. A technology roadmap should be kept top secret. It is your competitive advantage. 4. Show the routes in your roadmap. You must connect the elements in the layers with routes to tell the story. 5. Tell a credible story by putting the facts in perspective. 6. Don't let anybody spin the facts beyond recognition, no matter how much they wish you went faster. Defeats the purpose. 7. If you tell the story correctly, you have a better chance of securing the resources to develop the technologies that will make you win. Find me in social media if you want to talk about this or other similar topics, or if you want to leave feedback on how to make better videos. And leave me a comment in YouTube.